Hey people, how you doing? How your mama doing? Let me get my camera game together. Y'all know I'm always moving stuff in the middle of the doggone video. Okay, so I wanted to jump on and um really just follow up from the post I made this morning. Um okay, I think that's good. So yeah, I just really wanted to follow up from the post that I made this morning for those of you who do not know who I am or did not see my post. My name is Lachelle Barnett, i.e. the video that you're watching has my name on it. And I run a consulting firm specifically for coaches and consultants, people who consider themselves experts, right? And specifically for people who are wanting to build their brand online, right? That's kind of my lane. And so my business is called The Reset Room. You're welcome to follow. I don't ever tell y'all to follow me places. I should start doing that. My business page is called The Reset Room. You're welcome to follow me there. I also have a Facebook group called Profitable Launches for coaches and consultants. So you're welcome to join that as well. Okay. So here's what I really wanted to jump on and say today. I want people to understand this process of being able to be profitable online because I see a lot of people struggling with the online space, right? One of the things that I hear people say frequently when I work with them is offline I'm great, but online I struggle, right? Like I haven't gotten the same traction, I haven't gotten the same conversion. And it's because the online space is very different, right? Like you have to learn to navigate the system and the space in which you're operating in. That's a whole nother live that I'm not even gonna go into because too many times I see us trying to use a system, a format, a method that works well over here, but does not apply to what you're trying to do over here, right? Like I can't use the same method if I'm trying to pull off a webinar as I'm going to use to be able to do, let's say, a live event, right? There are elements that cross over, but many things are different. So I digress. So because I hear the same thing around navigating the online space, one of the things that people struggle with the most is trying to get clients, right? How the hell do I get clients off of this big ass space? Everybody else seems to be saying it's going down in the DMs. They getting clients here and there. They just sign this, right? But I'm not feeling that same traction. And so here's the thing that I want you to understand. Number one is there are phases to this wealth building thing that we're doing, right? Like our goal in building our businesses has a lot to do with creating wealth, right? There are other aspects to it as well, freedom, and impact and all these other things. But at the end of the day, if you're not making no money, you don't have no business and you can't make no impact. So one of the things that I want us to understand is that this journey to wealth has phases or steps, right? Like too many people jump in the online space and they just expect to hit the ground running when they have not gone through the process, right? So many of us are circumventing the process or trying to circumvent the process. I heard my pastor say a long time ago, you cannot out faith principle, right? And all he was saying was, which was like, oh my God, that's so true. Sometimes we're like, oh, I love God. He gonna bless me. It's gonna be great. I'm just believing. My energy is right. I don't even understand the whole energy thing, but I mean, I do a little bit, but not the way other people be feeling it. And so they just like, my energy is good. I'm in a good space. And then they launch and nothing happens. Why? Because faith is not enough. Like it ain't gonna never be enough. I hate to tell you that. I love Jesus just like the next person, but your belief in God is not gonna be enough by itself to get you to wealth. Again, I digress. So number one, I want you to understand the phases, and I want you to be able to identify the phase that you're in, right? Because if you can identify the phase that you're in, number one, you can take some of the pressure off yourself. You can understand what results that you can expect, right? You eliminate some of the confusion and the frustration and the overwhelm and all these feelings that come with being on this entrepreneurial journey if you just understand the phase that you're in and embrace the phase that you're in. So the first thing I want you to understand, which is in my post this morning, is that there are several phases, right, to being able to navigate the online space. So first of all, it's clarity, right? You have to be clear about your market. Again, I could do a whole video just on how people don't understand their fucking market. And then you have to understand your messaging, right? What's the position of your brand, right? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What's the problem that you solve, right? Why should people even care? What's the thing that makes you unique? All of that is your messaging. And hey Elaine, I seen something pop up on my computer. I should open this video on my computer so I can see the comments. Okay. So the first phase is just around clarity, right? And you getting clear about your market, your messaging, and specifically your marketing strategy, right? There are lots of things that you need to get clear about, but those are the biggest ones, right? Those are the things that drive the rest of your business. If you don't have clarity around those things, you will struggle, like period. Clarity comes before you can implement. I digress. Number two, or the second phase, or the second step, is the building phase, right? Where you're building your audience. This is where I'm going to spend the most time, right? I'm going to come back to that one. And then the third phase is actually launching, right? You being able to launch products and services. Now, it doesn't mean you can't launch products and services in the building phase, but you have to be more realistic in your expectations of what will happen in the building phase because you don't yet have an audience, right? By the time you get to phase 3, you have an audience, and therefore your launching process looks different. It has a different capacity. It yields different results, okay? A lot of times I see people trying to just jump to phase 3, right? I already had a business offline. I was already doing a little bit of stuff here and there offline. And so now I'm in this online space and I want to be able to launch my new product or service in 30 days. That shit ain't gonna work. I'm gonna just be honest with you. Why? Because there's a process. There's a process to everything, right? I say this all the time, the difference between method and formula. I don't even want to get into that. I'm not even going into that. But I want you to understand that there's a process, right? There's a process to building a healthy relationship. There's a methodology to being a decent parent. There is a system to being able to lose weight. Every single area of our life comes with some level of system, some level of methodology. Business is no different, right? There are steps and sequences, and you need to wrap your mind around those. Anyway. Hey, people. Say hello as y'all coming on. Excuse me. And I want you to think about what phase that you're in. Right? Think about where you're at in your own journey, because I promise you, the clearer you get about your particular area, where you're at, many people are in the clarity phase, but they want to be in the launch phase. They're not clear enough about step 1 to be able to build an audience that will serve them and that they can serve in return. Anyway. Okay, so third phase is about launching, right? It's about you being able to have more than trickles. Right? It's about you being able to have a downpour, right? So when you launch a product or service, hey girl, hey, I don't even know where that came from. I'm so not up on media, entertainment kinds of things, but I like it. Hey girl, hey. What was I saying? Okay, so the third phase of you actually being in the launch phase of your brand or your business is you being able to put out a product or service and doing 5 figures on a launch, or that kind of thing. That's what that looks like when you get to phase 3. And then phase 4 is really just about sustainability. Most of the audience that follows me is nowhere near sustainability, so I'm not even going to touch that. But the first thing that I want you to understand is, what phase are you in? Right? So for those of you who have been on since the beginning and maybe have caught each phase, drop the phase that you're in the chat, right? Are you in the clarity phase, right? Where I'm still working on getting clear on X, Y, and Z. Am I on my marketing messages, on my actually marketing strategy, on the market that I want to serve? Excuse me. Or are you in the building phase where you're trying to build your audience, right? That's the one I'm going to spend the most time on. Are you in the third phase where you're actually launching because you already have an audience? Or are you on the fourth phase where you are really building a sustainable brand, which is more about you having a system, a framework, a methodology for how you run your business, right? It's repeatable. It doesn't require you. That's what that looks like when you get to level 4. Okay, so let's go back to 2, because 2 is the place where I see the most challenge, right? First of all, it comes because you haven't done 1. Here's the thing. Business builds on top of each other, right? Okay, so you're in the building phase. If you are not clear on phase 1, step 1, whatever, if you are not clear on enough of those pieces, phase 2 is going to be challenging for you, because number one, you won't have a marketing strategy to implement, right? Because that's all you're doing in phase two is you're implementing a marketing strategy and testing it, tweaking it, improving it, growing your audience, building your list, your following, whatever it is that you want to call it. But a lot of times what happens is we're not clear about our market enough to where we either build the wrong audience that can't pay us or doesn't want what we have or is not attracted to us and our brand, right? So we're either building the wrong audience or we're doing nothing to actually build the audience. Like we're not actually implementing a marketing strategy of some kind, right? Because what happens is we jump on Facebook Live and we think that this counts as marketing. I really could just spend a whole live just talking about Facebook Lives and their connection or lack thereof to marketing, right? Me jumping on Facebook Live and interacting with you and engaging with you, excuse me, Facebook Lives are less about marketing. Is it a marketing tool? Surely it is. But really, Facebook Live is more about nurturing your audience, which is a part of marketing, right? Part of the building phase is you learning how to grow an audience, nurture an audience, and then get the audience to convert, right? That's what marketing is about. And Facebook Lives is really more about nurturing than it is about actually selling. Can you make money off of Facebook Lives? Of course you can. That's why you see people doing lives every 8 seconds, because there's definitely money in this. But what I want you to understand is, where do Facebook Lives fit into building your audience? They fit into the nurturing phase, right? So phase two, the building your audience phase, requires that you have some kind of marketing strategy, right? When we talk about marketing strategy, we're talking about, okay, number one, what's the promotional activities that I'm going to do to promote my brand, right? So when I say promotional activities, I'm talking about the event, the marketing event that you're going to do that's going to help you build your list. There's lots of different ways to do that. You have to choose one that aligns with your audience, right? Aligns with your lifestyle, because part of the reason why you don't implement the marketing strategy is because you're inconsistent. You're picking a marketing strategy that doesn't align with your lifestyle, right? Now, I don't even want to get into that. I really could. Let me just say this. Many people need to embrace Facebook ads. Many. And partly is because, especially people who are 9-to-5s, now you have to be careful of the timing of Facebook ads, because too soon and you'll know ROI, right? But at some point, once you've gotten through the clarity phase and you're working to build your audience, the beauty of Facebook ads is that it takes the work out of it for you. Your work is on the front end. You got to set up a bunch of stuff. You have to understand Facebook ads, and then you get to walk off. And many people struggle with marketing because they're inconsistent, right? So excuse me, that's the beauty of Facebook ads. It's more effective than what you think. You just have to understand the platform. However, there is a time and a place, right? There's a time and a place to be able to utilize Facebook ads. But if you're in this building phase, you could absolutely use Facebook ads, provided that you have gotten the clarity that you need in phase one. That's what causes you to not be profitable using Facebook ads. And I'm not like getting money from Facebook about Facebook ads. I think there's lots of different strategies. There's lots of organic strategies that you don't have to pay for. But I am saying, for those of you who have a busy lifestyle, and for those of you who are going to be inconsistent with your marketing, you ought to be trying to figure out how to capitalize off of Facebook ads. Even though Facebook ads is not the only way. It's just one strategy. And your strategy has to align with your lifestyle. I see a lot of people, coaches, consultants who have 9-to-5s, and they have demanding jobs, right? They're in leadership positions, they're in management, they're married, they got kids, which is going to impact your ability to be consistent. That's why your marketing strategy has to align with your lifestyle. You see one person going live 3 times a week, they ain't got no job. Maybe they have the flexibility to do that. Maybe you don't. So part of your challenge, or more accurately, your responsibility in the building phase, is to pick a marketing strategy that aligns with the direction that your business is going, meaning your lifestyle, your audience, your offer, etc., etc. This whole thing is about alignment, right? Alignment in that it builds on top of each other. So number one, you have to have some kind of marketing activity that's tied to your marketing strategy. The second thing is around your content, right? What kind of content? There's an art and a science to content. It's not just about the 3 tips to do X, Y, and Z, right? Like, that's part of it. You do have to give valuable information, but content has to do more than give information. Why? Because information is not enough to change somebody's life. I mean, in real life, like, here's the thing. It would be great if it was, because then all of our lives would be changed. All of us have read life-changing books. We've listened to life-changing podcasts. We've listened to life-changing sermons on Sunday, right? Like, we got information out the ears, but information by itself is not enough, okay? That's a whole conversation within itself, but I want you to understand the value and the importance of being able to position your content. Hey, people, hey. Position your content. I should be saying hey to y'all come in, but I didn't. I be in a groove and I be done went off somewhere. So y'all might have to go from the beginning to watch the whole thing. And just FYI, I think I'm going to do a training either Thursday night or maybe Friday afternoon, lunchtime-ish, just on marketing. So for those of you who are interested, drop a me or I'm in or something, and I'll circle back to you when the video's over. I haven't decided on the date. I'm not sure if it'll be Thursday night or if it'll be Friday in the afternoon, like noon time, but I see so many challenges with marketing that it's got to happen. Anyway, so in addition to that, so we have content that you have to understand how to be strategic with. Excuse me. You have your marketing event, right? Your promotional activity that you have to understand what goes into that. And then you also have to understand the pitch, right? In this building phase, the goal is not to make a lot of money, right? You should be making some, right? You legitimately should be making some. And you could be making consistent 5K months in the building phase. But you have to learn to build the audience and position. Do you have an irresistible offer? Like in real life, do you have an irresistible offer, excuse me, that causes people to take action? Do you know how to create call to actions that cause people to move? Right there, there's an art and a science to all of this. So we have content, we have your marketing activity, and then we have your irresistible offer, right? Again, in the building phase, it's more about building your audience and your following, getting the credibility that you need, right? The social proof that you need, proving to people that you can do the thing that you say you can do. That's the primary purpose of the building phase. The primary purpose of the building phase is not to make a bunch of money. You're not going to get to a millionaire status in the building phase, because you have to have people to sell to, right? That when you get to the third phase, when we're talking about actually launching, all right, now you got a whole group of people to sell to. People who have raised their hand and said, hey, I'm interested in this, or I'm interested in this, or I like this. Sometimes the raising of the hand is free. Sometimes the raising of the hand is paid, depending on whether you're offering a lead magnet or whether you're doing something like this, whether it's a free training, whether it's a paid training. Like, there's just so many choices. You need to pick the strategy that aligns with you. But most importantly, before I jump off of here, the thing that I want to leave you with is you have to have a building phase. Excuse me, right? You can't just jump into launching your products and services if you don't have people to sell it to. And if you don't have people who number one, are the right people, right? So you might have a list or a group of 500 or 1,000 or 2,000, but if they're not your ideal client, then that's like not having a following, right? That means you don't have the right audience. The goal is for you to have the right audience. So when you get into the launch phase, and you have to condition them to buy, right? You can't go, let's say 90 days without offering them anything and then get into the launch phase and expect to explode, because you have to condition people how to interact with your brand. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. Excuse me. I don't know why every time I get on Facebook Live, this cough magically appears. It's just ridiculous. So I want you to be able to, hey people, I want you to be able to understand, that's the most important piece of this entire message, is that if you have not yet built an audience, meaning if you have not yet implemented a marketing strategy and then perfected that marketing strategy, at least to some degree, not perfect as in everything no, it just means the first time you launch anything, the first time you do anything is not going to be that great, right? It's going to have results if you're learning from the right person, right? So I'm not saying that you won't have any results, But I'm talking about the first time you learn to do anything, the first time you learn to tie your shoe, the first time you go work out, the first time, listen, I told you I hired a personal trainer. I didn't tell y'all. That was a whole post I made the other day. I hired a personal trainer because my discipline is non-existent. That's a whole nother thing. But I want you to understand that the first time you have a marketing strategy that you implement, it won't be perfect, right? You'll find holes and gaps and things that should have been different. But if you have a really good teacher, you eliminate many of them, right? You don't have as many mistakes along the way. So if you guys are interested, I said earlier in this video that I'm thinking about doing a free training, maybe Thursday night or Friday. It'll be up to the people in the group, right? I'm going to do the majority, whatever people, whatever works for people. I'm going to do a training specifically on marketing because this is the place where people struggle. The building of the audience is where I see people not getting results. They just want to launch and they don't have a big enough following, or they don't have the right people in front of them. So if you're interested in that, you can drop me or I'm in or something in the chat and I will circle back to you probably this evening. I'm just going to put people in a Facebook group and do the training in that way. There probably won't even be an opt-in. I'm not sure. Again, this is just me paying attention to my audience and seeing the need for marketing, right? The fact that people are struggling with building an audience and building the right audience and then getting that audience to convert. So I hope that was helpful to you. I hope you can identify which phase you're in, accept which phase that you're in, because that's really the key. Are you accepting the phase that you're in, or are you still trying to be in phase 3 when you haven't done phase 2, or if you haven't done phase 1, because they build on top of each other. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to the beginning of the video. Why? Because I talk about the phases as I go through. I will circle back to you all this evening or in the next couple of hours. It won't be right away. For those people who actually dropped me or I'm in, it'll be later on because I got a line of things to do over the next couple of hours. But I wanted to jump on and do this video because I see the need and I want to be able to support you as you build. You're never going to get to wealth if you don't understand the phases of success. Right? Like all of us are trying to do the same thing. I'm trying to do the same thing you're trying to do. Right? I'm trying to create a better future than what I see right now for myself, for my community, for my children. Right? I'm trying to learn how to relax and have some downtime, some freedom, not kill myself. You're trying to do the same thing. Right? But in order for us to get to that place, in order for us to have what I would call Nipsey Hussle status, right? When you die, people love you and you didn't impact the community and XYZ. He wouldn't have been able to do none of that without money. Period. That's the bottom line. We have the greatest amount of impact when we have money in our pocket. Why? Because money causes people to listen that would not have listened to us before. Money causes us to be able to impact people's lives. Here's the thing. Us doing this, right? Me sharing information on Facebook is never going to transform your life. This is why you have to have paid services and you have to learn to get people in your paid services, because this is inspirational. This right here is informational, but it has a very minimal amount of impact. Your life is not going to be drastically different from watching this Facebook Live. But guess what your life would be? If you were in a paid program that I offered, you would have far more transformation. Why? Because transformation doesn't happen in 20 minutes, right? Transformation happens in the interaction, the ongoing teaching, and the implementation. And you have to be able to learn to give that to your clientele, your, excuse me, potential customers. If the goal is transformation, right? Like that, at the end of the day, if the goal is transformation, then you have to learn the steps to get them to transformation, get them to buy in so you can create the transformational experiences that you desire. And I know you desire them because I haven't met an entrepreneur yet that isn't super service-based. They aren't super, I want to help people. Like, I just love people so much, right? Which is both good and bad. But I know your heart is in the right place is my point, right? Your desire to keep people from experiencing the same things that you've experienced. Okay, well, in order for you to impact them in that way, you have to learn to sell them. You have to learn to get them in their program. And it starts by building the audience before you can get into heavy launches, making tons of money where you can have 5-figure launch. Guess what? You have to have an audience first. So the audience phase, the second phase is the phase that people get stuck. And that's the phase where I'm going to be teaching and training on. So I will circle back to you guys later on this afternoon and put you all in a Facebook group for those of you that are interested. I will chat with y'all later. Peace.